Well, I brought my notes too, which I wanted y'all, which proves that I'm a noted speaker. Some of y'all will catch that later. We were here in 2009 with the Green, remember the Green Uprising? We don't want to make that same mistake again. Can I get a witness here? Come on. Let me get this up here. Let me tell you, the ongoing uprising in Iran is actually, believe it or not, it kind of spurs us on with hope, does it not? Does it not? You betcha. The people are rising up and speaking. And I know I don't have to tell you all this, but it's absolutely horrifying what this regime is willing to do to kill people, to silence them. It's absolutely horrifying. So while the uprising is inspiring, it is totally horrifying. The entire world should be stepping up and taking notice of this. The fact that the United States State Department has opened their arms to the crazy regime, I call them dictators, rulers, they're out of their mind. They're evil people, right? Absolutely. Did we not learn nothing in 2009? Come on, folks. This is a history that's been going on a long time. Lance mentioned the 10-point plan. What's wrong with that 10-point plan? I'll tell you what's wrong with it. The dictatorial, evil, killer rulers don't want it. That's what's wrong with it. They're paranoid. And quite frankly, they should be paranoid. They should be blatantly paranoid because there's gonna come a change in Iran. What do y'all think? You bet. You bet. You betcha. For God, people fearing like us, we know that freedom is inevitable. They can't keep us down forever, can they? No way, no way. Tell you what, there's a special hell for those evil ruler dictators. Let me tell you. And if I can be politically incorrect, they can't get there quick enough, all right? So, you know, we can get them a one-way ticket, you know, and we'll pay the price, we'll pay the cost of that ticket, won't we? And the sad thing is, a lot of good Iranians have already paid that price, haven't they? How many more have to pay that cost? It's unbelievable what's going on. I hope the whole world will be paying attention. I hope our State Department backs out of their crazy supporting of the mullahs, you know, the ayatollahs. I tell you what, it's unbelievable that they would even think of that. Well, some of y'all know, ever since I've been in Congress, I've been a friend to Iran, the good Iran. Why in the world President Biden or President Obama or anybody else would want to make a deal with killers? It just doesn't make any sense to me. They can't be trusted. I mean, people who will drag people out of their homes, men, women, children, and kill them because they don't agree with their political or their religious view. You think you can make a deal with killers? You can't make a deal with killers. I tell you what, there's never been a reason to believe that this regime would act in good faith. Has there? Not one. Not one single reason have they given us. Not one. Their rhetoric is inflammatory. Their sponsorship of terrorist organizations across the Middle East, indeed in the world, ought to be enough for people to sit up and take notice and saying they can't be trusted. There's only, you know, I'm from Texas, and what do we do when we see a bug? We squash that bug. I know that's politically incorrect, but how many of y'all would like to see that terrorist regime squashed, you know? In my opinion, that's exactly what needs to happen to them. Iran's aggression, y'all know this, has extended to its own people through imprisonment, torture, and even public murder of those who disagree with the Ayatollah and his cabal. Now there's reports that there's 14,000 Iranians to be executed. Are y'all hearing that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much more does it take for the world to wake up? How much more does it take for this administration to wake up? The State Department ought to be rising up and condemning everything they're doing, not welcoming them with open arms. What's wrong with our crazy State Department? Tell you what, these innocent people, their only crime is fighting for self-dignity, self-determination, freedom. That's their only crime. So many freedoms that we take for granted, Why isn't our State Department and our administration exporting freedom to Iran, not compliance, not agreeing with their crazy, murderous regime? I don't get it. And I'm doing this without my glasses, by the way, so let me get my cheaters on. You know, when you get 69 years old, some things don't work as well as they used to. I mean, I wrote some notes in here. What the regime is doing, what we're seeing, tears at the fabric of our heartstrings. It's unbelievable. I know you all know this. Our hearts go out to all the victims. And then we get infuriated by when we see the lack of response from this administration, indeed other countries around the world. Why aren't more people speaking out? What's wrong with them? Doesn't the world know that Iran is exporting terrorism around the entire world? They're killers, they're liars, they're thieves. You can't trust them. Why does this have to go on? Why does it have to be 14,000 or 16,000 or 30,000? When is enough enough? Is today enough? Absolutely. They ought to stop right here, right now, today. I kind of smile a little bit in all the sadness that this engenders. And the fact is that after 2 months, the Iranian regime, despite all the killings and the murders, the torture, which has been unbearable, you can't even describe it, the imprisonment, not to mention all the threats that they send out, has not been able to stop this, what they call revolution in the making. Well, let me just tell you something. I don't know if we'd call this a revolution in the making. How about we'll call it a revolution? You bet. You betcha. You bet. Man, I'm impressed with the Iranian women and the Iranian youth that are getting out there. Great peril. Have you all seen the videos and the pictures and the TVs? And I'm encouraged that what happened to the Green Movement in 2009 is this not going to happen again. We're not going to let this go away. So women and youth are at the forefront of the movement in Iran. Teenagers. You know that when the teenagers are getting it, it's widespread. It is widespread. It's hitting home, it's hitting deep, and it is really a heart issue. It is really a soul issue, a battle for the human soul, a battle for human dignity, a battle for human freedom. The teenagers who are not afraid to stand up to the IRGC thugs, when they get it, take heart. Because I tell you what, this is not, as I said, not a revolution in the making. This is the beginning of the revolution. You bet. Women don't just reject mandatory hijab, right? They don't. They're going to make sure it goes away forever, right? That's right. They reject everything mandatory, be it their clothing, their day-to-day life, especially their repressive rulers. Absolutely repressive rulers. The Iranian women want nothing less than the overthrow of a brutal regime, and the world should support them, and the United States should lead the way. And speaking of women, don't y'all love what Miss Miriam Rajabi's doing? Don't you love that? My gosh. I've been able to Zoom meet with her and talk to her and follow her and listen to her, and I'm thinking, wow, you know who's after her. I don't know where she's hiding, but what a good security team she's got. But Lord, let's pray for them. My goodness, let's make sure we keep her on track. she's been, and I was impressed to find out she's been fighting for human rights in Iran. I didn't know this part, for 45 years. Man, give her a hand. And I know y'all are, and I'm honored to share with her, to share in her commitment to Iran. Aren't y'all? Aren't y'all? You've really got to pray for her, and I tell you what, get everybody you can to support her, support this movement, and we ought to all with one voice stand up and say, enough is, see, she's got it, enough is enough. So that's what we ought to be doing. I can't believe she's been doing this for 45 years. We know there's a long history here going back to 79, right? We know there's a long, long history. So no surprise, but she's out in the forefront. She's got the plan. People are taking notice, not the least of which is the murderous thugs regime. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and let's pray that God protects her so that she stays right on track with what she's doing. Make no mistake, we're not talking about, once again, trading a form of autocracy for another. We're talking about freedom. I think Lance alluded to the 10 points. Y'all all know the 10 points, you betcha. This revolution, remember, it's not a revolution in the making. This is the revolution. This revolution, this time, is focused on any kind of dictatorship in Iran. We say enough is enough and no to the dictators. His clerical vestments notwithstanding, the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, I'm too much of a Texan to know that foreign language. He's forfeited any moral ground he might have ever had. He's done, right? We want him to be done. His moral high, his leadership, if you want to call it that, over the people of Iran, has long since been lost and done. And the blood-soaked record of the current president, Ebrahim Raisi, somebody say that for me. Raisi, I can do this. Really implicated in the killing of 30,000 political prisoners. Did I say earlier? Doesn't matter whether you're 14,000 or 16,000 or 30,000, whatever it is. Whatever it is, enough is enough. It's nothing. The 1988 massacre, that should have been enough right there. That should have. I mean, it was way late at that point. Way late at that point. That people should have. The world should have stood up. The world should recognize. I would love for this to be in the. How many of y'all would love to be this in the United Nations? Huh? I'd love to get this in the United Nations as a resolution. The world should recognize the right of the Iranian people to self-defense, just as we do in this country, just as we do. Now, come on now, y'all are cutting into my time. So, no, I'm just kidding. Y'all know what's important, what's at stake here, and I appreciate y'all's enthusiasm. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights should apply to Iran and all people. Would y'all agree? It's okay to clap. I'm just messing with y'all. You betcha. In America, through the Founding Fathers' vision, of course, we have the Second Amendment. We have the right to keep and bear arms and to defend ourselves. Why shouldn't Iranians? They should. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would add to that First Amendment guarantees of the right to freedom, speech, assembly, and religion, and all that goes with that. Are the Iranians any less of human beings because the crazy murderous regimes think so? No, no. That's actually backwards. Those are animals. Those killing thugs are animals. And the world needs to know that. The world needs to declare that. I'd like to see that come out of a resolution of the United Nations and make sure that people take notice. In the meantime, as many of you know, I'm a co-sponsor of House Resolution 118. Yes, ma'am. Which, quote, recognizes the rights of the Iranian people and their struggle to establish, and here's the points, part of the points, democratic, secular, non-nuclear Republic of Iran. Can I get some amens there? Who in their right mind's against that? Am I going over my time? I am. See, but that's because of my enthusiasm. You know, I don't have my wife here with that hook to, you know, to hook me, to hook me off. Well, I could go on and on and on, but I want to say this. Thank God for your support, for your energy, for your enthusiasm, for your bravery, for your faith. Let's make sure that what happened with the Green movement in 2009 is not going to happen here. Let's keep drawing attention to it. Keep making sure that people know. Let's get the world on our side, and let's get the thugs out of Iran. Thank you all very much.